This week at the Net Cafe, New Age sites on the web. Meet Kelly Fox. She's the co-founder of Astrology.net, one of the most popular websites for checking out your horoscope. This is a site called itsyoga.com, everything you ever wanted to know about the science of yoga, plus online classes. Maka Nightmare is a witch. She's involved with 2 websites that can help you understand witches, Wiccans, pagans, and other spiritual nonconformists. This is a site called BerkeleyPsychic.com. It's all about psychic phenomena and a good place for you to get a reading online. And meet Dr. David Anderson. He's a scientist who's looking for intelligent life elsewhere in the universe, and he'll tell you how you can help. New Age sites on the web this week at the Net Cafe. Net Cafe is made possible by RonDiamond.com, the oldies site on the internet. Music and memories from the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Not just another jukebox. Additional support comes from the law offices of Ivan Hoffman, Lawyering with Integrity for Internet law, copyright, trademark, and other intellectual property law. And by TechWeb for up-to-the-minute technology news. Hi, and welcome to the Net Cafe. We're here as usual at the Club I in San Francisco. And this week we're talking about New Age sites on the web. You know, go to any big bookstore and you will see a very big section on New Age books. Well, there are lots of New Age sites on the web covering everything from astrology to yoga, from ESP to witchcraft to UFOs. And if you're the kind of person who starts a conversation with a stranger by saying, "What's your sign?" you'll be happy to know there are lots of good astrology sites on the web. One of the best we found is called Astrology.net, and Andrew is with the site's creator.
Kelly, you're from Astrology.net, and it's one of the more popular astrology sites on the web. Astrology seems to be very popular in the real world, and it's also getting very popular online. People weigh in, say it's bogus. Some people say it's a science. Where do you stand on the subject, and what is astrology to you?
To me, astrology is simply the movement of the planets, which indicates who you are. It's a guide to who you are. And it's been around since 1645 BC, actually, was the first inscription that we'd found on astrology, and it was carved in bone, and it was the moon phases. So it really has been around for a really long time.
Okay, and I know you've been doing astrology for a long time, and then the web came along, and sort of what brought you to bring the web and astrology together?
I was running an e-commerce business actually back in 1994, and I wanted to do something a bit more exciting. So
astrology was your hobby? Was that kind of?
It was something that I'd always done since I was a child, and I wanted to do something more exciting and wanted to practice HTML, so the two came together. December 11th, 95 was when the Astrology.net went up.
Okay, now recently I know that you've been acquired or become part of iVillage, and I know that iVillage is geared towards a female audience, and so I'm assuming that astrology on the web is also more popular with women, or is that kind of a myth?
I think women are more upfront about it. I think men sneak a peek.
Really? Yeah. Okay, so men are looking at the horoscope section of the paper as well, and just not discussing it over coffee, maybe.
Exactly, and they're looking at over their wives' or girlfriends' shoulders, I think.
Okay, now tell me why astrology works so well on the web. I know that there's a lot of mathematical calculation that goes on. What can you do, or what can people do on the site that lends itself to a web-based experience?
The internet and astrology are a perfect fit. As you said, they both have a mathematical foundation. And what we can do with that is take the planetary routines, or the way that the planets move around the sun, and they're calculated into a software program which we hook into our chart shop. And basically we can serve up to 50, or we have been serving up to 50 charts per minute, whereas as an astrologer I can only see about 5 people a day maximum.
Okay, so this has really expanded what you can do and what people can do. Now, this is free information on the web. Now, is there an ability to get more in-depth calculations and charts as well?
Yes, what we do is we offer a lot of free content like Find Your Love Sign or Find Your Passion Sign. Have a bit of fun with it. But in our chart shop, we also offer a free sample report, a free compatibility report, and a free child report. And then if you like the information there, you can expand on that and pay through our secured server.
Okay, what's your favorite part of the whole site?
I would have to say my favorite part, well, I have many favorite parts, but I think one of them for me is Find Your Love Sign and Find Your Passion Sign. Okay. It's fun. Right. And it helps people to understand that astrology is more than just one sun sign.
but it's multiple.
It's all the planets and all the signs.
Right. I actually like the celebrity area as well, in terms of seeing whose birthday it was and what sign they are and things like that.
That's fun.
I saw today was Prince's birthday. Now, before we did this, I had given you my birth date and also my birth location, and you were able to do a little bit of chart here, which I have of my own. Give me a little sense of my Aries background, what you were able to figure out.
Well, you have not only an Aries sun, but Mercury and Venus in Aries, so you very much like to be first and ahead and on top of things.
Right. That sounds like me. Now, one other question. I'm going to be married in October in Hawaii, October 2nd, and I'm just wondering, is that a good time for an Aries to be married?
That's a very good time for an Aries because October 2nd is the time of Libra, and Libra is the sign of marriage and partnership.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, now my fiance's birth date, June 16th.
Gemini, great fit. Aries and Gemini, great match.
Okay, great. I'm going to send her to your site as well.
Right next door to us here at the Club I in San Francisco is a yoga studio called It's Yoga. Well, you all unfortunately can go to the studio to get your lessons, but the good news is they have a website where you will be able to get instructor-led yoga classes online. Jane is with the site's webmaster.
Gary, I have to be honest with you. When I think about yoga, I don't really think about the online internet world as well. They seem to be pretty disparate activities. Why did It's Yoga go online?
It's a question a lot of people ask. When I approached It's Yoga a year ago, they were interested in being in the San Francisco area and being in the South of Market area particularly, and having a lot of students who worked at the companies in this area, telling them that they should take advantage of the things that were on the internet and available to them. What I've found in the year of working with it, and what I've come to realize, is that yoga as a practice is really a personal and a spiritual journey in many ways, and the internet is not capable of trying to duplicate that at this time anyway. But also at the same time, the teaching of yoga is based on a tradition of communication of information through oral, visual, and written text, and the internet does that aspect of it very well.
So mostly It's Yoga, the website, is about allowing people who are interested in Ashtanga yoga, this is the particular yoga practice that It's Yoga Studio offers, is to help people learn how to become instructors. Is that the primary focus of It's Yoga?
It's really more aspects to it than that, because we do have and are soon to announce the beta test of our online teacher training module, but we will provide, as many internet sites do, for individuals for their home practice. We'll have free access to resources to enhance their home practice, whether it is the series that make up and comprise Ashtanga Yoga's exercise, through multiple mediums, written instruction, oral instruction, and video examples. Video conferencing will even be tied in. Those will be offered free for individuals to enhance their home practice, but the revenue sources that we hope to generate would be through the online teacher training module and through a business model, business-to-business model, where we would provide online yoga instruction for corporate fitness programs delivered over TCP/IP.
So you're really trying to make yoga, in this case Ashtanga yoga, much more accessible to a lot more people who can't come into a yoga studio to take classes.
To make it geographically independent of where the individual is or where the teacher would be. Larry Schultz, the founder of It's Yoga, might be in Peru on one of his retreats giving a full instructed class, and that could be delivered to any other spot in the world.
So for those students who can't make it to Peru, they can watch the class going on live. I've got another interesting question here. Why do you have a radio station online? You've got an It's Yoga radio. What's that all about?
A brand new feature, just introduced, and it really came from a personal incentive, because when I'm working myself on the computer, the music that I access on the web many times is a little too frenetic for me. There's many, many offerings and there's great music, but while I'm working on the computer, that's not necessarily what I want to have in the background.
You want some easy listening.
Ambient music is really what where you can pay attention to it and it's interesting enough if you're taking a break from working, but if you're working, it's in the background. And basically that's what yoga music that's used during yoga classes is ambient music.
So you're expecting people not only who are doing yoga in the home, but also people who are working on their computer be able to go to the It's Yoga website and listen to music online. So what are some of the next steps for the website? You've got a lot of interesting new things coming. I know you're using a lot of multimedia with sound and some video streaming as well.
Well, one of the new introductions is the Open Yoga Directory that is quickly getting responses. The idea of an open directory being that the community that's interested in using the resources contribute to that resource. So we take submissions for entries of yoga sites into the multiple categories that are in the open directory. And of course, it is a portal service for bringing people to our site so that we can develop the community that we want online.
So at itsyoga.com, there's lots to find, not only about Ashtanga Yoga, but all of the other yoga sites that could be linked to that one as well.
We try to make it interesting and informative.
That's great. Thanks, Gary.
One of the most popular New Age activities is, well, for lack of a better word, witchcraft. And the internet has become a real source of information and education about witches. Sometimes it's called neo-paganism, I guess. And Maka, you are a witch, is that the right
Indeed.
terminology?
Yes.
Okay. I have to ask you about your name, first of all. Your name is Maka Nightmare.
Right.
And I've seen on your website, I mean, there's, people have like pretty names like Ivory Flow and Rosemary Dance, and you're Maka Nightmare. I take it you weren't born with that name?
No, I wasn't born with that
Okay,
name.
why a name like Nightmare?
Well, I've been always all my life drawn to the dark goddess, the dark mother. Macha is a Celtic war goddess who, among other things, is known to shift into the shape of a mare or a horse.
Okay.
She's famous for a horse race. I have felt an affinity for horses and at times felt like I was a horse sometimes when I was young. And I spell it with a capital M in the middle, which you wouldn't notice unless you saw it. It's
right.
the mare who rides through your
The
dreams.
mare, okay.
And
well,
it's in honor of the dark mother.
Well, that's a little better, isn't it? Now, I know it's impossible to ask you to explain this. Witchcraft, this is all very complicated stuff, but just give us a rough idea. Talking about the two websites and the two groups in particular, Covenant of the Goddess and Reclaiming, what do you stand for? What are the basic principles and beliefs?
Well, it's hard to speak for other witches because we're so independent-minded, but I'll do the best I can from my own perspective. Witches are, first and foremost, goddess worshippers, although they may work with many goddesses, and many witches also work with male images of the divine. The Covenant of the Goddess is the oldest and largest organization of witches in the United States. It's been around for about 25 years, and it's national.
And excuse my ignorance, but I mean, who is the goddess? Is this sort of a Jesus, Allah, Buddha type figure?
No, and that's where you're getting into the hard stuff.
Okay, I know.
From her all proceed, and unto her they return. If that
is it a literal figure or a sort of created idealistic figure?
Yes and no. We're paradoxical if nothing else.
Okay. But there is a goddess that you sort of worship in some way?
But many. I mean, we see her in many forms and many aspects, which is why she has so many names, and we see her in other things in the world, like trees and animals.
Let's talk about the website for a second. Now, you have the COG.org website, which is Covenant of the Goddess. What kinds of things would we find when we went to that website?
You would find some information about...
I mean, is it activities? Is it spiritual? Is it background?
It's formed into local councils. There are people... it was formed in order to give witches the same rights and privileges as clergy in any other
So it's a community, basically?
It's community, but it's really for witches' protection. We've done a lot of public relations, a lot of media.
All right, good. Now, I want to ask you, why do witches need protection? I mean, if you have people in the Judeo-Christian tradition, they could be standing around praying for a sick person to get well. You might have Indians dancing around a fire praying for rain. We have a bunch of witches in a circle over a boiling cauldron, and it's like evil, wicked, nasty. Why?
Surely you've heard of the burning times.
Yes, of course.
Which have been exaggerated, but
is it just
nonetheless
history
they
and
did
fiction?
happen. Well, I think a lot of it is fear of women and fear of women's powers, fear of the non-quantifiable, the non-measurable in scientific terms, because we do honor the intuitive as well as the rational. the psychic as well as the scientific. I think that's a lot of it. In certain parts of the country, it's very dangerous to be out as a witch.
Do I have reason to be afraid of you as a witch?
No.
I mean, I have the image like if I upset you, you're going to cast some spell and something terrible is going to happen to me.
No.
No.
We do spell work. And spell work, generally, we believe in the law of threefold return, which is whatever you put out will come back to you 3 times. So if you put out something negative,
that's not unique to
you're
witches,
asking for
of course.
trouble. Right.
All right, let's talk about the other website. We're almost out of time, reclaiming.org. Now, what do we find there?
You will find a list of local and national activities.
Is that a different group of witches?
It is a different group,
Okay.
although many people in reclaiming is kind of a sect of witchcraft. There are many. So there are people in reclaiming who are members of the Covenant of the Goddess, like I am.
Yeah.
The most well-known person in the reclaiming organization, such as it is a writer named Starhawk.
Yeah.
But we have classes and public rituals and all kinds of trainings and witch camps all over the country.
And I know it's very complicated, and we'll just have to, I guess, go to the 2 websites to find out more. Thank you, Mako.
You're welcome.
Do you believe in ESP or psychic powers? Well, there is a lot more to that subject than the psychic hotlines you see advertised on late-night television. In fact, there is a very well-respected psychic institute very near here in Berkeley, California, and they have a terrific website that explains just what they're doing. Andrew has more.
Susan, you're from Berkeley Psychic Institute and berkeleypsychic.com. You're a psychic yourself. I think there's a strange perception of psychics out there. People aren't quite sure what to make of them. On one hand, you have the Psychic Friends Network. On the other hand, you have people that seem to be helping solve serious crimes and things like that. What does a psychic mean to you?
Can I ask you a question?
You certainly can.
Could you close your eyes for a second?
Okay.
Make a picture of a rose, and when you've got the rose, would you open your eyes?
Okay.
Thank you. That is exactly where I come from as a psychic. How much effort did it take to do that?
For me, it was pretty easy.
Okay. That's what it takes. And I teach people from that standpoint how to create a mental image picture. And we go from there.
So basically using my own intuition,
that's right.
using my own
You
perception.
just created a perfect, beautiful image of a rose.
Okay.
And if it took you no effort. If anyone comes to me in effort and they think about it too much and they're analyzing and intellectualizing it, it won't work.
Okay. Okay. Well, and so that's sort of where the Berkeley Psychic Institute seems like it comes in,
right.
Helping people actually learn this. On your website, you have a whole host of things on psychics, how to become a psychic.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about some of the classes that you folks offer and things people can learn about via the web.
Okay. On the web, we have all about the Berkeley Psychic Institutes. We have 5 of them in Northern California.
Wow.
We have affiliates in Southern California, and our graduates are all over the world with institutes in Holland and Canada and other places. But you'll find on the web that we have meditation classes teaching you how to identify your own aura, how to use psychic tools for protecting yourself from other people's energy, how to use your intuition. We have workshops, which are like one-time workshops. We have healing classes, how to use psychic healing techniques.
So really everything you need to know to become a psychic.
And we have our Psychic Reader newspaper. I mean, we put that on the web each month so that you can read articles about intuition or crystals or any other healing modalities that are out there. And
right, and very in-depth pieces.
Very in-depth,
as well.
right.
Okay, one of the things I know you guys do is a little more off the beaten path. You actually offer psychics to come out to events and things like that. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, we'll come and do what we call a psychic demo. And I will demonstrate how you are psychic, which is what I just did with you, is we'll show you how you already are. Most people don't want to put it in that word or the category, but we've been demystifying the word psychic for 26 years, and we've been training people in our seminary for 26 years. So we're, I think, about the oldest organization around and the largest. And we have more than 2,500 graduates from our year and 2-year training program.
Okay.
And more than 50,000 have graduated from our meditation and healing classes.
So there's a lot of psychics out there.
A lot of psychics,
okay,
especially the Bay Area.
I have a question. Does the psychic connection work via the web? Can someone send you emails and
and get a reading?
And get a reading.
Yes, they can.
Okay.
It's actually, there's no time, no space, and no distance in the psychic world. So I could read you from a distance. If I go into a trance, I have to go into a light trance state and take a look at your energy. I could read you from Chicago or Singapore. It doesn't matter where you are.
Based just on the words, on the text the person has put together, or is there an actual energy that you think may be going through the internet connection?
There is. There's both. All those things. All of the above.
Okay. It's a fascinating world, and check it out at theberkeleypsychic.com.
Are you fascinated by the search for extraterrestrial life? Well, if you are, thanks to the web, you can now actually take part in the search for ET intelligence. It's an exciting science project called SETI at Home, and Jane is with the project's director.
Dr. Anderson, explain to me, as the project director for SETI at Home, what is the idea behind the SETI at Home project?
The idea is to increase the amount of computing power available to analyze radio telescope data, which we're doing to look for signals coming from other civilizations in space. And we're trying to do that. We're getting computers on the internet, computers in people's dens, offices, and schools, and kind of harnessing them together into a big supercomputer.
So how do you do that? How do you pull them all together?
Basically, each computer runs a program that's like a screensaver. It runs when you're not using your computer. And it connects with the internet and gets a chunk of radio telescope data to analyze. Depending on how fast your computer is, that could take a day or 2 or 3 to finish the analysis. Then it sends back the result and gets more data.
So walk me through this process. I go to your website, I download a screensaver or some sort of plug-in, and it's going to download to me a chunk of data, and then my PC is going to process that information while I'm not using the computer. And do I always have to connect back up to the website, or?
It's very automatic.
Okay.
The connection can take place automatically if you have a full-time internet connection. If you have a modem, there's an option to have a box that comes up and asks for your permission before it dials out through your modem again.
So you always have to get that. Now, how many users do you have today? How many people have downloaded that screensaver to this point?
As of today, about 500,000 people are using it.
So 500,000 people today are now processing signals from outer space on their PCs.
Yeah.
And what has that done? Obviously, the SETI project lost funding early in the 90s and has been pretty much privately funded over the last few years. And so this obviously helps a lot, not having to buy expensive supercomputers to do the processing power.
Yeah, this does a couple of things. First of all, it gives us an amount of computing power that would cost tens or hundreds of millions of dollars if we had to go out and buy these machines ourselves. And that lets us do a better job of analyzing signals, find fainter signals, find different types of signals. And the other thing that the project is doing is it's educating the public about SETI, about astronomy, about science in general, and it's giving the public the feeling of actually participating in a real science experiment, which has been impossible up until now.
So who are those, of those 500,000 people that are using that screensaver today, who are they?
It's incredibly diverse. There are people at elementary schools, home computer users, people in businesses.
Are they mostly in the United States, or are they all across the globe?
About half right now are in the United States, but there's a total of about 200 countries represented. And we have mechanisms for people to form teams, like within a school or within a company, and to compete with other teams in that same category of organization.
So you've really got a pretty big community, a huge community, as a matter of fact, that are all working together, hopefully, to find some signal from outer space.
Yeah, there's really kind of a sense of a big group working together on something.
Now, what happens for the person or persons whose information ends up leading to a potential discovery? What happens to those people?
Well, if we are lucky enough to detect a real alien signal, our computers will have a record of the identity of the people who were involved in that discovery. And we will share the credit for the discovery with them.
So do you think they'll name an alien after me?
Who knows? They might name an alien after you, or we could share the Nobel Prize together.
Sounds pretty good, but I don't know what I'd wear. Thanks a lot, Dr. Anderson.
That's our look at New Age websites. Some pretty interesting stuff, you must admit. Thanks for joining us here at the Club Eye in San Francisco, and I hope you'll be with us again next week right here at the Net Cafe. Net Cafe is made possible by RonDiamond.com, the oldies site on the internet. Music and memories from the 50s, 60s, and 70s, not just another jukebox. Additional support comes from the law offices of Ivan Hoffman, Lawyering with Integrity for Internet law, copyright, trademark, and other intellectual property law. And by TechWeb for up-to-the-minute technology news.
To purchase a videotape copy of today's program, call toll-free 1-888-310-7850. Please specify the show number and the topic.